This video is a follow-on from the previous 20 videos dealing with price in the precious metals markets. If you haven't seen those videos, I'd recommend you doing so before watching this one. Let's pick up where we left off. In the previous video we looked at the western side of things. Now let's look at the eastern side of things. The BRICS nations, so Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, are in the process of setting up a new currency to be used in international trades as an alternative to the dollar. This is a major move in the changing of the world order. This maneuver has been spearheaded by Russia and China. You might be wondering what the big deal is, but what we're witnessing is the ending of one monetary system and the emergence of a new monetary system. It might help to think in terms of operating systems in computers, etc. Maybe it's also helpful to think in terms of what went on towards the end of World War II with the establishment of the Bretton Woods System, which ensured the US being the dominant power on the planet. That kind of thing is happening once again, but this time there's no worldwide agreement because we're actually in the midst of a war. As I said in the previous video, there's a financial war taking place and it's been going on for some time now, although if you listen only to the MSM you wouldn't know about it. What does this mean for precious metals, you might be asking? Well, the BRICS alliance have announced that various commodities, including gold, will be used to back the new BRICS currency. So, in very general terms, we can say that there's a movement taking place from fiat currencies to gold-backed currencies, and this is whether the Western cartel of central banks like it or not. I should perhaps do another video about central banks' relationship with gold and also with the gold standard. It would seem then that a partial or full gold standard will be introduced in some parts of the world. This will inevitably expose the serious shortcomings of the dollar and other major world currencies which are at present fiat currencies. The situation can be summed up by the children's fairy tale, the emperor has no clothes. King Dollar has no clothes because the dollar has very little by way of real value. It derives any value it has from the world reserve currency status and the petrodollar system. All other major currencies, so the yen, the pound, the euro, etc., are no different. They too are fiat currencies. They have no real value in and of themselves. And as I've said many times in many of my videos, they are just currencies masquerading as real money. This new BRICS partial or fully backed gold-backed currency should therefore force a gold standard to be adopted by the rest of the currencies of the world. It's really that simple. In effect, the dollar as we know it today, by which I mean the Federal Reserve System dollar, is dying. It's in its death throes. The days are definitely numbered. A new Treasury-issued dollar might emerge once the Fed dollar dies, but that depends on a number of conditions being met, as well as, I dare say, a number of as yet unknown factors which could affect outcomes. So, I can only say might emerge rather than will emerge. I should also say that there are moves also which are setting up gold as exchangeable for currencies such as the Chinese yuan and Russian ruble, and this is linked with oil trades as well as trades for other commodities. But this is perhaps a topic for another video. Given what I've mentioned, it stands to reason then that gold will become important once again, or rather I should say gold will once again take its rightful place on the world stage because the way I see it, it's always been important. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a question of perceptions. So, to restate this, gold will once again be perceived not only as being the tier 1 asset that it actually is, but it will return to being regarded as a monetary metal, as real money. I should also say that the BRICS Nations Alliance have combined population of 3.2 a billion people, which is over 40% of the world population, nearly half of humanity. So it's no small matter, and so it shouldn't be dismissed as irrelevant. Also, it's likely that in time more and more nations will cut themselves free from the bonds with the US and join the BRICS nations. Moreover, unless there's a dramatic change in the running of the country, the US will become increasingly isolated. As I said in the previous video, we're witnessing an almighty change in the world order as it has been in operation since the end of World War II. But I should add that it would appear that this is not the new world order as was planned for by our overlords, the Western cabal. It's not the WEF's wet dream, a feudal-like system of bygone times comprised of serfs and lords. I hope that we're headed for a multipolar world where all nations and all peoples are equal, and no one nation is dominant force on the planet. But unfortunately, there will be a great deal of messiness and nastiness to deal with before we reach that stage. So that's a quick overview of the situation we're in right now. Obviously, more can be said about this stuff, but that's beyond the remit of this video. Needless to say perhaps, but you're not supposed to know about this stuff. How can I make such a claim, you might ask? Well, it's simply not spoken about by the MSM. Why is it not spoken about? Well, because our overlords, the Western cabal, want to keep the populace of each nation ignorant of their machinations, and the MSM is controlled by them, so therefore. If the vast majority of people were privy to this information, central bankers and their government lackeys would likely be lynched. And they might yet be when people start to find out or figure out what's been going on. I split this topic into a number of videos, so there's another however many to follow. In the next couple of videos, I'll talk briefly about Saudi Arabia, and then in the video after that, I'll talk about Ukraine, both from an economic point of view. Then in the videos after those, I'll talk about gold revaluation and what this should mean for silver also. And then we'll finish up this mini-series by looking at hyperinflation, because alas, that's where we're headed. Wise up and rise up.